Welcome to ObscuraTime, where forgotten stories find new life and buried truths rise to the surface. Today, we travel to the heart of West Africa, to a kingdom once so advanced its architecture rivaled the wonders of the ancient world. A place that built a wall so massive, it was longer than the Great Wall of China, yet almost no one talks about it. This is the story of the Great Walls of Benin. Centuries before colonialism reached the shores of Nigeria, the Benin Kingdom thrived. Located in what is now Edo State, this kingdom was one of the most sophisticated pre-colonial African states. It had a centralized government, a powerful king known as the Oba, and a deeply organized society. But it wasn't just their governance or their art that astonished outsiders. It was the walls. The people of Benin began constructing a series of massive moats, trenches, and earthen walls around their cities and villages. This wasn't just one wall, it was a connected network of fortifications spanning across the kingdom. Together, these structures became one of the largest man-made earthworks in history. Some estimates suggest they stretched over 16,000 kilometers in total length. Yes, you heard that right. That's longer than the Great Wall of China. They enclosed around 6,500 square kilometers of land, covering more than 500 communities. Built between 800 AD and 1400 A, these walls weren't just tall or long, they were smart. They combined military defense with flood control, territorial boundaries, and political symbolism. The people used a method called trench and rampart. They would dig deep ditches and pile the excavated earth beside them to form ridges. Over time, these ridges hardened and were reinforced with wooden stakes, forming high walls. It took hundreds of years, countless workers, and generational knowledge to complete them, and no modern machinery, just human ingenuity. But the walls weren't just for defense. They shaped everyday life inside the kingdom. The capital, Benin City, was a marvel of urban planning. Its roads were wide and laid out in straight lines. Houses were arranged with symmetry, and the city had sanitation systems that shocked early European visitors. In fact, Dutch explorers who visited Benin in the 1600s described it as cleaner and more orderly than any city in Europe. At the center of it all was the Oba's palace, surrounded by layers of walls and moats, guarded day and night. The walls weren't just mud and earth. They were power. They said, "We are strong, we are organized, we are sovereign." But then came 1897. British troops invaded in what they called the Benin Punitive Expedition. It was retaliation for a British mission that had been turned back by the kingdom. But what followed was destruction on an unimaginable scale. Benin City was burned to the ground. The palace was looted. Thousands of irreplaceable bronze sculptures were stolen and taken to Europe. Many still sit in museums in London and Berlin. And the walls, they were torn apart, blown up, leveled to make roads for colonial commerce. What took centuries to build was nearly erased in days. Today, only fragments of the Benin walls survive hidden beneath forests, buried under villages, or slowly eroding in silence. But archaeologists and historians are beginning to rediscover them. Satellite imagery shows the faint outlines of massive earthworks. Field researchers find pieces of the old trenches, some still deep and wide enough to stand in. And what they're learning is this: Africa was never a blank slate. It had kingdoms, cities, and architectural marvels. It had science, planning, engineering. It had the Great Walls of Benin. Yet so few know the story. Why? Because this challenges the narrative. The myth that Africa was uncivilized before colonialism. The lie that greatness came only with European contact. But the Benin walls destroy that lie. They are not mythology. They are real, and they are ours. This is not just a story about mud and trenches. It's a story about memory, about identity, and about reclaiming what was stolen, not just physically, but historically. The Great Walls of Benin were once the largest man-made structure on Earth. Let that truth echo, because now, you know. For more forgotten history, follow ObscuraTime.